And I see that in your early documentation you sent, you submitted a preliminary budget, right?
Yeah.
So this is for the symposium. So I see that there is a revenue that $30,500 you're projecting to collect from the ticket sale or something like that,
Yeah.
registration. And there are other sources like cash. So for the symposium, what is the other funding resources you have?
Yeah. So in this case, we've been trying to like the budget's just conceptual right now. Um, we wanted to keep ticket prices as low as we could. Like we want the event to be as free as we can get it. So we thought it might be worth going out and asking for sponsorship for the event. A number of agencies have already come forward expressing interest. Um, Most of them are in the private sector. Although we could see the provincial government perhaps being a sponsor of this event, the federal government could also be a sponsor of this event as well. So we have not released any calls for sponsorship or for revenue because we want to wait until we have the license to do so. So that's just to give us an idea how much it's going to cost to put on the big event. We're going to have to come up with the revenue somehow. And so the NCLJ is willing to kind of underwrite the risk, if you will, and handle the sponsorship recruitment side. And if we don't make money, well, we don't make money. The issue is too important not to proceed.
So the list of what Josh was referring to, is that your guys' company? Like who is responsible for MCL?
Oh, yeah. So we're in. Who are we?
Who is running this? Like, and where are you running out of?
Yeah, so I'm the executive director. So I'm the only staff member. I have a little bit of support from another staff member named Sandra, and I'm running from the Scotiabank building over a couple of streets away. And it's a not-for-profit, nonpartisan organization, and its primary source of revenue is membership dues from the local governments. Right, so like the city of Prince George puts about $40,000 a year into our budget. Fort St. John, all the local governments across the way, and the Niska villages contribute as well, but it's a different rate for them. It's a and the way that we calculate the rate for local governments is based on population and the amount of money invested in healthcare capital. Right. So, it's our budget each year is about 160,000 in membership dues come in from all of those 42 local and First Nations governments. And then the rest of our revenue comes from our AGM we put on every year. Like I said, this year's in Smithers and the next year's in Prince Rupert. And we make about $40,000 off our AGM. So our operational budget in a year is not huge. We're looking at a $200,000 kind of budget.
So, being a co-host with the City of Prince George and Regional District, so what is your expectation from the co-host?
As much engagement as you would like, but not. We would expect. We're not expecting funding. What we're expecting is a way to create a good event. So the agenda development, the themes. We would expect there would be an opportunity for all of the co-hosts to address, if they choose, the participants. Offering welcoming remarks and having a panel session. Perhaps there's a tour component. I don't know, an experience component, but really we would like to have somebody sit on the working group to plan the event, or at least to direct the agenda development. So we would welcome an event planner if you have an extra one kicking around, but we don't want this to be a staff burden on you. So me and Sandra will handle all of the logistics. But what we need is direction and perhaps some help opening doors for key people we need to get in the room.
I think this would be a good opportunity between your organization and Executive Committee to formalize some sort of agreement that outlines what we need to do.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how many people attend the NCLGA events that are Indigenous. Like, is that something new?
No, we get about, we have Indigenous representatives, but they just happen to be Indigenous and run for local government.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a bit, I wouldn't want to say that they're necessarily representing their nation.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe about 15%.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because just looking at the territorial coverage of the NCLGA,
Got it, yeah.
is the majority of the First Nations communities are actually from those regions.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. If we were to go into an agreement as a co-host, it'd be good to look at these cultural protocols and
absolutely
invite those people in a good way, right? And then figure out how we can create those almost coalition type ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Because with the NCLGA or NCLGA, your organization,
you guys,
having that cooperative approach is something that Indigenous communities haven't really mastered yet, because there's so many, and we just haven't had that opportunity to meet. So this can work as an opportunity for Indigenous people to come together to work on these in collaboration with your organization as well.
Yeah. I think the current board. So our board changes every year. The board is absolutely recognizes that the last 75 years of the agency can't be the next 75. I think, 60% of the Aboriginal people in the province live north in the top 2/3, right? And so in order for the NCLJ to be effective, it absolutely is critical that it is relevant to the nations. And it's got work to do there.
So, because that in Symposium, you are inviting some ministries. So, who are the ministers? Which department you are working with?
We haven't invited any ministers yet because we want to get buy-in and license before we do any of that. We were thinking that probably, the Minister of Health would be one we would need. We would need, I would say, housing is important. Probably the Parliamentary Secretary, Russell, who's the Housing Secretariat, I believe. There's no ministry for that, but there's a Parliamentary Secretary. I think we could invite the Premier to this. But that invite would probably only actually happen if it came from the NCLGA, the Plate-Tene, the city, and the regional district together to bring them in, right? But we haven't reached out to any of those arms yet. We have good connections with those ministries through our other work, so we'll pass a resolution. I'll give an example of a resolution that we're working on for May. One is around calling for an audit of wait times for access to services under Northern and Interior Health. The other one is for support for elders and seniors in our communities. And what will happen with those resolutions is if they get passed, then they go down to Vancouver. If they get passed in Vancouver, then they become part of the province-wide advocacy. If they don't get passed in Vancouver, they remain on our regional advocacy table. So I'll try to get some meetings with deputy ministers to talk about the problem, try to explain what the concern is, and identify some solutions. So in general, we have probably about 10 or 15 minister meetings per year. Lots of deputy minister and assistant deputy minister meetings. We try to connect with the bureaucracy as well. And we also on an annual basis do a delegation to Victoria. And could you imagine the power of that delegation being shared with a number between local governments and First Nations governments and going down there to talk about, like, these are our shared issues. You know, and like I said, it's really that it's the healthcare side, which is a big chunk of the work.
We got 3 minutes, so quick.
Yeah, so just trying to take a few seconds. So for the symposium, so just my thought, just not talking for the council here. So this is like we want the opening with blast of our, we have a drummers, custom drummers. So in a like big in a traditional way, opening of the ceremony.
Absolutely.
So that is our I mean, my thought, my expectation that will open in a such way with the entrance blessing and like, you know, and custom drama, so that like it is like, you know, in traditional way it starts something like that.
And if there are things we need to do in advance to engage the community, like this is a huge opportunity for the NCLJ to learn. And because like when we do our AGM in Smithers, what happens is we'll go in and then the mayor will send an email to the chief and council and say, hey, well, can you come and give a welcoming remark? Okay, that was fine 10 years ago. But now we need to take it up a notch. I don't want to just be looking for somebody to come in and offer just the welcoming. The whole thing needs to follow the proper protocols of the host nation. How we invite the minister, when we invite the minister, all of those sorts of things need to be reflected. And we also want to make sure that it is inclusive of your community, right? So maybe there's other ways, maybe we need to do some little workshops to lead up to it as well. So we're an open book and we want to learn.
Unfortunately, we're out of time.
You bet.
But Terry, we will discuss this in council and then we.
Awesome.
Thank you. And it is an extremely important subject that we're really need to.
I'll leave those. And I put my cell number on there. Do any of you call me? I'm only a few blocks away.
Thank you.
Thanks, Terry.
You want this coffee?
Involuntory? Can we? There's some things I don't mind discussing about this because it just fits in with what we're doing as well. We'll do it in camera. Yeah.
Next, we have Burry, the library.
Just point. Don't even ask.
Oh.
Just point at you.
Good morning. I'll help you sit down there. So welcome. So what we'll do is we'll start off with a round of introductions and start with Wynn. Instead of waiting she's done drinking.
You okay if I just pass around this small gift that we brought with us? It's just a library bag with some information about library services programs. I thought I would pass around to everyone.
Good morning, Wendy Gales, Council.
Good morning, Topic Islam Executive Director.
Thank you.
So now we're just.
Yeah, no, that's right. I found that book. We don't bring enough. John Wines, Council.
Hey, Billy, look at.
Barbara Allen, minute taker.
And Crystal Gibbs, Council.
Interesting for council.
And
Yeah, awesome.
Robert.
Robert Gagnon, counselor.
And I'm Paul Burry, Library Director at PGPL.
I'm Anna Duff, Chair of the Prince George Public Library Board of Trustees.
Welcome. You have to do.
Thank you so much for having us here today. We really appreciate the chance just to take a little bit of your time during your board meeting and your council meeting. Basically, we're here to see if Meise First Nation would be interested in the possibility of appointing a community member to the Prince George Public Library Board of Trustees. There's a little bit of work that we've done in the background to get us to this point, because currently that is something that was not available. But now we've done some work to make sure that we are able to extend that offer to you. So I think I'll turn it over to Paul just to provide a little bit of background on how we got to this point, and then we can talk about what that appointment might look like. We have some ideas, obviously very curious to see what your thoughts are and even if you're interested.
Yeah, thanks, Anna. And thank you for inviting us to join you. So, as most of you are probably familiar, community members are eligible for free library services at PGPL. Those who live outside the municipality of Prince George access those free services because of a service agreement between the city of Prince George and the regional district of Fraser-Fort George. But despite that agreement, those living outside the municipal boundaries are not eligible to join the library board because of a provision in the Library Act that governs how public libraries in BC operate, that requires board members of a municipal library to be residents of the municipality. And of course, this excludes a significant number of our Indigenous community members, including those who live at the Shelby Reserve. And so, however, the Library Act also does permit the library board to enter into agreements with Indigenous governments that would allow us to expand the eligibility on the library board. And so in January, the Prince George City Council approved the library board's request to add an additional seat for a board member as selected by Tammy First Nation and one as selected by the Regional District of Fraser-Fort George, so that we would add an additional 2 board members to the library board. And so that's a kind of quick summary of the background of how we got here.
Yeah, so yeah, again, just kind of, if you're interested in appointing a board member to join the Prince, or like a member to join the Prince George Public Library Board, we would be really grateful to have them at our table and to have more voices and more people to learn from as there are patrons that we know are coming and using the library services.
I do have a couple names floating around in my book. I would have to ask them if they want to. If they're willing. That's good. That's exciting. How long is that active case for?
Sorry?
The active library.
The Library Act has been around since we've had public libraries in BC, and so it kind of like sets the terms of how we operate, and because of this restriction, we had to kind of find a clause in the act that said that there was another way that we could accomplish that, and that would be by making an agreement between you and the library board that would allow us to add this additional board member.
Are you guys the first ones in BC to be doing this?
Actually, I think there's one other library working on the same thing, so we're kind of in a race to the finish. But I think it would be the first example of that. Yeah. Yeah, so, and it's been something that we've been working on for a while, because we did have to kind of like do some research, do the work to make sure that the provincial libraries branch, whose the Library Act is their document, that they would be in support of this approach. Right?
Is there a way that we can get kind of the terms of reference in the package for the Library Act, so that for the people that we want to put forward, we can give them that information so they know what they're signing up for?
Yes. So one of the things I was thinking about, because I knew that would be something that people would be wondering about, is we do a presentation at the first board meeting each year that kind of does an orientation for new board members, that kind of goes over what it means to be a board member, what the kind of expectations and how that all works. And we have a recording of that, and I think if we had the approval of the board, we could share that or put that somewhere that could be accessible, and then provide additional documents as needed about, you know, what the library access the board does, what the rules are about, you know, board, how many board meetings you have to have, and all that kind of stuff. So we can share, you know, all about that information. And then we can also try to provide additional information if you're interested in, for example, see if we can get guidance from City of Prince George. How do they screen candidates? What information do they look for when they do their application process? Because they're familiar with doing this all the time. And so if there's information required that would help that process, we can try to provide that information as well, if with their permission. We'd have to confirm that.
Yeah, that's really interesting, but when you first came in, you said the Shelley Reserve.
Oh.
We trying to get out of saying Shelley because there's the town site too, and a lot of people confuse. Oh, we didn't know that was a reserve. So we're trying to get into straight into name. Yeah, no, it's like, it's just the difference, because there is a Shelley town site out on that side too, and, yeah, I was like, okay.
Yeah. And
It's my,
No, thank you.
for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And this is the kind of,
yeah.
this is the perspective we want to bring to what we're doing.
So how often do the board of directors meet? Like, what would be the, expect?
It's a monthly meeting for the board, except for there's a month in the summer, and in December we don't meet, so it's about 10 board meetings a year. And then there are a couple of different board committees that also meet monthly, you know, so that's about 8 or 10 meetings a year as well if you're on a committee, and so that's the kind of commitment in terms of time.
Board meetings are about 2 hours or slightly less a month. Depends on how chatty we are.
And the way the existing board works is the terms are for 2 years, so the city appoints board members, and it's a 2-year term. And so, you know, our expectation is that it would make sense to do it the same way, so that it would be a 2-year term. You appoint someone, that they serve for 2 years. After 2 years, you could reappoint the same person if they want to continue. And then the Library Act says that, you know, 8 years is the maximum you can serve in one, you know, continuous stretch. So, but you could renew if you wanted, or you could decide you wanted to appoint someone different after the term is expired.
Kind of like the museum. Well, this is interesting. This is exciting. We got to beat the rates.
Yes.
First one, BC. And we can get that information on.
Yeah, sure.
We'll contact those people and see if they're interested. And we'll shoot you a name, hopefully by. I think we can do it next week. We'll act on Joshua.
Will there be some sort of agreement between the nation and the museum to make sure for the seat on the board? Or is it
Yeah,
just-
like I think that's what would make sense, is we draft an agreement so that everybody understands how it works. You know, you make sure it meets what your needs are in terms of how the appointment is made, all that kind of information. And then, you know, once we've all signed off on that, we can proceed with having the board member right away.
So we have to put a motion down to agree to accept the possible agreement, I guess.
Let's to accept the 2 seats being offered by the library and to work on an agreement and to appoint somebody to see it. Good, thanks.
Sorry, just to clarify, I I may have misspoke, but it would be like one member selected by Clayton Tammy and one member selected by the regional district of Fraser Fort George, so additional 2 total.
Oh.
Okay, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My apologies.
So my mom had each day member to be the representative for the directors with the library. And to work on the agreement on this, when it will work.
Mhm.
It'll be a 2-year term. And we can reassign somebody. So I need a mover to Joshua, seconder Wendy, all in favor? Motion carried.
Great.
We will work together.
That sounds great.
Great.
They were also competitive in that way.
I was actually waiting for you guys to pull an agreement.
Yeah, it will be. It's very fun. Yeah, something.
Great. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for coming in. I guess you'd be like the advocate. Move forward.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We think this is a good way to strengthen the already good relationship we have, so appreciate that. Yes, thanks very much.
Thank you for the bag. Do you have an extra one to leave for Robert, or when he comes down here, he could grab his?
Maybe we put one together.
Yeah,
Hold on, kids.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I think it's okay.
Over the years, nature. And sometimes like the people in the outside, they're like, well, we're not done, we're not the reserve, right? You guys call us.
Yeah.
And we're like, we're not calling you guys. It's like, just because you share the same name in the area. Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Good day. Have a good rest of the meeting.
Okay, so it's 11:00, we're on schedule, we're gonna have like a 10-minute break, then we're gonna be on an in-camera session.
In-camera.
We'll be back at 11:30. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Adam might start and leave this.
You got her?
Adam,
Yep, we're all good.
okay, do I leave this meeting?
No, you can actually leave that open because I'm controlling it in a different way now. So,
Oh, okay, so don't touch no buttons.
yeah, don't touch no buttons. We're good.
Don't touch, Barb. He's the one who told me to.
I know, yeah. The only ones you touch, you need to.
Yeah.
Welcome again. Sorry to boot you out.
So, well,
I just checked this time. Do you still have 35 minutes?
So you were?
Yes, it is over there. Number 4.
Okay.
yeah,
Welcome again.
Number 4.
number 4. Okay, so you have like 15. So, or actually,
Okay.
30. Round over. I'm certain I want to Okay, so you have the lunch. Well, sorry. 42 right now. We have for half an hour.
Yeah.
You need 15 minutes or one story. We have in conversation. And around first. We'll start off with a quick introduction. Start with Wendy.
The jail counsel?
Topic is from Executive Director.
John West Council.
Keep going, Logan. Minute taker.
Good morning, Crystal Gibbs Council.
Interesting what council.
Yeah, insurance my choice. This is Monday. Oh, by the way, the broads, that package for
Oh, wait. 17. Here.
Thank you. And should we just keep going?
Yep.
Okay, I'm Sarah Henderson from South 32, Community Affairs Specialist.
Cassandra Beaumont, South 32 as well, and operation. Vicki Thompson, I'm a geophysicist with South 32.
And we have Councilor Robert Gagnon on Zoom. He pops out in there. He's probably over right now, but he's at work. So he'll be popping in and out. You have the floor.
Thank you. We also brought some donuts if anyone's interested. Help yourself.
We need.
Yeah, fries and napkins in there. So we're here today to talk about Project McGuire. I just wanted to start with a territorial acknowledgement. Our project is located entirely within the unceded traditional territory of Hazelton Station territory, and we just want to acknowledge the lands that we're working in and say that we're grateful to be working in these lands and really thankful for you meeting with us. Do a little bit of a quick introduction. We already said our names, but as I mentioned, I'm Sarah. I'm the Community Affairs Specialist for South 32's exploration projects in North America, and my background is I'm a geologist. I worked in mineral exploration for about 15 to 20 years, and then did a bit of work with the BC government as a permitting inspector, and came back to industry to do community affairs work, community engagement, because it's really important to me.
And so Cassandra, and my background, I'm a geologist as well. I've studied mineral resource engineering, and also worked as a mining project manager. So I've been with South 32 almost 2 years now, supporting the operations side for exploration.
Again, I'm Vicki, and I'm a geophysicist with South 32. I've been there 3 years, and I support our exploration projects for base metal exploration.
And then I'll just say also, please feel free to interrupt and ask questions as you need to if we're on a slide. We don't need to wait till the end. And so we're here today to talk about Project McGuire. It's a very early stage mineral exploration project looking for zinc, lead, and silver. It's a 100% South 32 owned tenure. And today we'd really like to discuss previous work completed, proposed 2024 exploration activities, hear interests, concerns, ways that we can work together, and any feedback you might have for us. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the company at all. I know we came here 2 years ago to meet with Chief and Council, but some of that's maybe changed up a bit. So I'll just review our values really quickly. We have 4 core values in the company. They're care, togetherness, trust, and excellence, and we use these to guide our operations, the way we work within communities and on projects. And so we hope to meet these values, and also happy to hear feedback if we're not meeting this. Some examples of work that we do with communities is we partner with local communities, so try and support local procurement and jobs using local businesses as well. We really want to make sure that we're preserving cultural heritage, so really transparent about the way we operate and open to feedback on that. We always have a chat-spine procedure in place, and we manage our environmental impact. Again, always happy to hear feedback on that. For this particular project, we had a wildlife mitigation plan completed by a third-party consultant. And some examples of work that we've done in other jurisdictions. We have some larger projects in Arizona, so we work with the communities there. And then also a long-term partnership and agreement with NANA Corporation in Alaska on an Antler joint venture project.
So Project McGuire, for those that aren't familiar with the location, it's just off Highway 16 on the Bowen Forestry Road. So that's about 60 kilometers southeast of Prince George. The claims were staked in November of 2021, and we did do some field work in 2022. So the next slides will go through that, as well as the work completed in 2023. And total, as you can see on the map there on the right, it's 11 contiguous claims, and it makes up for about just over 20,000 hectares. And the reason that we're there is because it's a prospective belt for base metals. So our company's focus on base metals, lead, copper, zinc in particular. So yeah, as I flagged, zinc is one of the main commodities that we're looking for in this specific belt. For those that aren't familiar with zinc, it's, many reasons that we're mining and looking for zinc: iron, batteries, the medical industries, and a lot of vitamins. It also helps with tools that are being used in industry. Some of the other metals as well that we look at are lead and silver, which are often associated with zinc in these types of deposits. No, it's not working, sorry. Okay, so in 2022, these are two of our geologists, Michael Bliski and Laura McLean. They went out into the field for 6 days to just review the area. They did some prospecting, so walking around, looking at any exposed outcrops. They collected a total of 26 rock samples, as well as 14 stream sediment samples. Those were then taken back to Vancouver, where they were tested in a lab. In the end, the results indicated that no lead zinc mineralization was identified for those specific samples, but it did let us know that we did need to do additional data collection, if you want to. And I guess, just flagging here, very early stage, so we're still understanding the geology of this area. So that's why we just did a very grassroots, let's collect some samples and see what information we can get back. And then the next slide will speak to the 2023 work that was completed. Okay, so in 2023, we collected geophysical data. In September, we flew an airborne geophysical survey, VTEM, which stands for Versatile Time Domain EM. I know it's a mouthful, but this is what the system looks like here. So it's a giant loop that's towed by the helicopter. And one of the reasons that we like to do these types of surveys is that it allows us to access remote areas with very dense vegetation. So the geophysical equipment, it measures the Earth's magnetic and electromagnetic fields, and that provides information about the rocks undercover. So it allows us to map the geology, identify faults and fractures, and really help us focus our mineral exploration to prospective geologic areas. Now, no harmful fields or radiation are emitted from the system. It's completely passive. And so this is the line, the flight path that the helicopter took
over the McGuire project, and we covered just over 300 line kilometers. And just to show an example of what that data looks like, so here we have a map of the conductivity that was measured, and we've overlain the regional geology map. So if we look at the conductivity, the highs are showing, the pinks and reds are showing more conductive rocks, and the blues are showing less conductive rocks. So just comparing it to the regional geology, this blue unit, for example, is a graphitic shale, and shales and graphite are very conductive. So we can see that the data is showing us that we've got shales present here. We also see that there's some major faults running through this area, and that helps us get a better understanding of the local geology and helps us focus our exploration to those areas.
So one of the things we do while we're working is we want to mitigate our impact on the environment and wildlife. So we had independent study completed by Eco4, and amongst the different species they looked at, one of them was caribou, and we do have some caribou habitat within our claims, and some of it is critical high elevation caribou habitat in the pink there. So we use that to also determine like what time periods would be best to work to do our field work and our surveys. And we spoke with Benga and I believe your wildlife biologist about this. So one of the issues we had was we wanted to fly the survey, and the window that we were meant to fly the survey was between July 16th and September 14th, but the survey company, or we couldn't get a helicopter available until like September 16th. So we've worked with your nation to propose avoiding those critical habitat areas, and then receive feedback from your biologist. Actually, please leave a 2,000 meter horizontal buffer, like flight buffer from those areas. And so that's kind of how we decided to fly these lines, as we did. And yeah, we really appreciated that feedback. It was really timely and helped us get our survey done, but also make sure that we were avoiding really important values for your nation. So we really hope to continue to work together if you're able to provide that kind of feedback going forward.
So looking at what we're proposing for this year, on the map, maybe can you go back, Sarah? Sorry to Vicky's. Could you? Yeah, so as you can see, there's data collected to the north, but we still have a gap in the geophysical data to the south. So our first plan would be working within those wildlife timelines to complete that southern portion of the property, doing the same type of survey, so BTEM survey. We'll also look to have geologists in the field doing mapping, so understanding that geology of the rocks, if it does match what's been mapped geologically with the BC Geological Survey. Filling gaps with the stream sediments that we had already collected, as well as doing some soil sampling. So with this, we're going to look to bring on board a lead contractor who would go into the fields and work with us. At the moment, we're speaking with Equity Exploration. So if you do have some feedback on them, we're definitely open to hearing that feedback. And then at the end of this season, we anticipate reviewing results to determine if we'll continue keeping that project in our portfolio or not. So it's an important decision year for us with this project. Yeah, as I mentioned, it's early, still planning phase. We're still trying to understand the geology. So, completing some of this work and collecting more data will help us understand it better. As well, we're not doing any drilling or disturbance to the ground, but we have looked at cultural clearance procedures and working with local support to complete that task should we move forward in the future to decide to proceed with a permit. So.
Is all of this data collected just from like electronic devices, or do you have somebody actually walking the actual terrain and taking ground surveillance as well?
Just
Like-
collecting the samples on the ground. We had someone do that.
Cause okay, cause I was just wondering, cause like, like, data collected within the instruments may not always be,
Yeah,
like it could show something else when it's actually this,
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
okay.
Yeah, so it's collecting on the ground. It is pretty thick
Yeah,
dense brush
Yeah,
up there.
that's why I asked.
Yeah, so it's been a bit challenging. The geologists that were there in 2022 just covered a small portion of the property. A lot of the roads were decommissioned. They were just walking by foot. So this year, we'd look to fill those gaps, planning where those roads are that they can access.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have up here, the slide just goes through like soil sampling, rock sampling, stream sediment sampling, for those that may not be familiar with these procedures. So all by foot. Soil sampling, you have a little shovel and you take a small sample, less than a foot, I would say, that you collect the soil and then it's taken back to be analyzed. There is the rock sampling, so where there's an outcrop, you can either split a rock to get a smaller sample and take that away to be analyzed, only where there's exposure, which we found is fairly limited. And then stream sediment sampling, so it's collecting some of the sediments in the stream, so filtering that with just a little hand sieve, and then collecting that. And again, all of it goes back to Vancouver to be analyzed.
So for 2024, some potential job opportunities, we'd be looking for field technicians to perhaps work with the geologists in the field. We provide training to all of our team members going to do field work, something called Learn to Return, which includes wilderness first aid, bear safety training, and then we provide specific sampling training to the geological technicians. And we're still kind of working through the work with the lead contractor, who that's going to be, and then how long our program's going to be. That might be around 2 weeks, and then we'll definitely provide information on that as soon as we have it, including job postings. And I guess looking to understand what would be the best way to update the community on the jobs or provide a posting. Do you have like an employment office?
Barbara Allen, training.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yes.
Yes, just a few questions, and I know that provincially there's been a rush for zinc, for lead, for silicon, and all of that. Have you been able to model the deposit in that?
So it's like super early stage. Really, the only data we have are like the few rock samples that were collected, and then this geophysical data that we flew last year. So at this point, we're even still trying to figure out what kind of deposit it is. Like there is the deposit to the south. You're probably aware of the Indy Plains Inzinc's deposit, and they're looking like they might have a SEDEX deposit. And we have some of the similar geology within our claim package, but it's really too early to tell what we even have. And what we have is just all surface samples, so nothing underground that we can model at this point because we haven't done any drilling.
From the work so far, and I know it's still very much preliminary, are there signs that it's likely to be a successful project?
Okay, let me go back to this slide. So the rock samples they took in 2022, the results were like no zinc or lead mineralization was identified in the rock samples they took, and they were really preliminary. Like they just kind of drove onto the claims, accessed what they could from the road, and so from what they took from the road samples, we didn't find mineralization. But I think in terms of rock packages, like we did see the same shale that Inzinc sees to the south. And then Vicky, maybe you want to talk about the geophysics a little bit.
Yeah, so just looking at assessment report data from the claims to the south, they've also completed a geophysical survey. And the signature, although we're missing a gap in the southern part, seems to show a similar package of rocks, the same signature. So we're expecting similar rock types, but we don't quite know yet till we get on the ground.
We don't know if the mineralization continues. So like we're seeing perhaps similar rocks, but we don't know if the mineralization is there. And I mean, we'd have to look at their results a bit more, but it seems like they were encountering their mineralized lenses at depth, not necessarily showing on the surface. So yeah, we'll have to see what kind of comes out of this summer. And we need geologists on the ground, like mapping into areas that are not super road accessible, to learn a bit more.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So if there is a continuous vein from that, it's likely going to be positive too.
Could be.
It depends, if there's like structures like faults that cut it, cross cut, which
So-
means
so
that
there
it
is
doesn't have mineralization. So we think, we're not sure about essentially that fault, which
Yeah.
by doing the study to the south, or the survey to the south, we'll get the data to confirm if that structure cuts off potential mineralization or if it continues, which will be indicative by potentially those red and pink lines if they continue.
Thank you. Nancy, there's a lot of opportunities ahead in exploration. And I know more and more companies are coming forward with this kind of project, including the previous council meetings we had about 2 come forward.
So what is your office location?
Oh yeah. So our headquarters is in Perth, Australia, but we have a satellite office in Vancouver, and that's where the 3 of us sit. There's about 9 people from exploration in the Vancouver office.
You don't have any local office there, right?
We don't. No. Vancouver would be our only Canadian office.
Okay.
And sorry. And if like when and if you start to do processing or whatever, is everything going back to Australia?
No,
Or
it stays within Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Just helps make the decisions
Mhm.
and gives us budgets.
I see, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have these slides
It
left.
seems like everything just goes.
Yeah.
along.
Unfortunate, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of reality, but still, I just wanted to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we do have, we're fortunate Canada, there's a copper smelter in Trail to keep it within the sea, which is nice.
Okay.
Yeah, that was basically our presentation. This last slide is around engagement and creating opportunities and partnerships. And really, just like the general message here is, we're really grateful for working with you. We'd love to hear feedback. If this progresses to something beyond this summer, we're happy to keep working on developing this relationship and partnership. At the moment, we might have some job opportunities. Hopefully, fix folks information who are interested in coming up to work on the project site. And yeah, just looking to hear feedback or concerns at this point, questions.
So last season, they worked with LTFN Environmental because of the caribou habitat involved, and we had to find a way around the season to work. It took a little bit of time, but eventually we were able to work together on that. Then, when are you planning the field work?
Yeah, thank you.
Good question. It will be between that window, so July 16th, September. I'm hoping for late July. But at this point, it depends on contractor availability.
I guess, would you be open if we
And
could
that's-
get that information and passing along for you to comment?
Sure, and that's the EQT exploration, right?
They're going to be the contractor operating the project under us this summer, but the geophysical contractor will be
Geotech.
Oh, okay.
They completed the survey previously.
Yeah, we know your tech.
Any more questions?
Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
Interesting.
Interesting. Good luck on.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm sure exactly. They are really who done the project.
Yeah.
Because it's not the band would really love to be part of
Mhm.
Yeah.
that success. Yeah.
Great feedback. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, just I can look at the 12:15 so we can have family.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good rest of the day.
You too.
Thank you. Yeah.
Already affecting our atmosphere. I just thought.
I think, yeah, because I think you were with Brenda last time, right?
Yeah, she's online.
Okay.
You should be coming on Zoom. Say, I don't know. He's doing rough with
it.
Where would you like to
Nervous
know?
about-
Nothing, that's about his stuff.
So we can give you like 10 minutes.
Okay, is Brenda on?
So she has a place in the waiting room.
That's probably Brenda, yeah.
Adam? And were you eating lunch? Is there somebody waiting to join?
Brenda?
There was somebody on the waiting. Yeah, there was somebody asking.
I'll wait for that.
Yeah, I just sent her, a message. You guys are busy. Yeah.
Want to start? Just breathe. Just relax. We're having conversation. We're just having conversation. So you have the red feather alert.
It's the red dress alert.
Okay, red dress alert.
Yes, yes,
Ceremony. Okay.
yes. So, okay, firstly, you guys, I want to thank you for providing space for me to actually come today. I appreciate that. I know you guys are full. For those that don't know me, my name is Tammy Meise. I sit on the board of the Prince George Red Dress Board as president, along with Brenda Wilson, Luann Montgomery, and Penelope Duane. We are here today to ask for endorsement and to host a healing ceremony led by the elders from Clay Tenay. We are asking Chief and Council to partner with the Prince George Red Dress Society for May 5th for the event. I know I only have 10 minutes, right? So I'm going to break it down to 3 components, right? Because there's so many pieces to this, right? I wanted to start by saying that this year, May 5th, International Day, Red Dress Day, is truly a community collaboration. Many different organizations have stepped up to be a part of this, from organizing walks to local radio conversations to bring awareness, to help educate the public, and much, much more. May 5th is also the day that Prince George Red Dress Society has collaborated with the City of Prince George to proclaim it to be the day of awareness for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and two-spirited people. We want to start to give you kind of a recap of what our idea was, right? So we wanted to start at the monument to do a stand-in. From there, hopefully, this is our idea, to the House of Ancestors to do the media announcement, followed by a healing ceremony done by the elders, ending with traditional food and refreshments. So I've broken it down to, like I said, to three components, right? So the first one, it's the announcement of the red dress alert. So as you probably already know, Justin Trudeau has announced they will be setting aside $10 million towards the red dress alert. Due to this being a private bill, it really does take much longer to pass. Having said that, Taylor Bacharach has been in the forefront in the House of Parliament advocating for this. Gitxsan, who is the opposition critic for Truth and Reconciliation, also supports and speaks to this along with Jasmeet Singh, the NDP leader. Having said that, Jasmeet will be doing an announcement via satellite. He won't actually be here. This is actually confirmed by Geraldine from Deluxe Communications. Did Brenda come on?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's. Oh, yeah. Hi, Brenda. Right, and then I'm gonna hand it over. Yeah, I'm gonna hand it over to Brenda to speak to the communication she has had with Taylor.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to bring forward the red dress alert and what it's about, and how Lately can be involved with bringing that safety and awareness in our community and into your territory. So last year I believe it was March 2023, Taylor Bacharach, who I've known for many years, since his inception into, he was a mayor for Smithers, and he learned about Ramona's case probably about 10 years after the fact, and he was just entering into being the mayor for Smithers. So we've had a long-standing relationship. He's the same age as my sister, who was murdered in Smithers, and so it became very real to him, and he wanted to be a part of the walk, and has been a part of my sister's walk for ever since he's been moved to Smithers. So he reached out to me and told me about the red dress alert, and that they're trying to move it forward into the House of Parliament. And I was invited to a Zoom meeting with Taylor and Gitxsan, and we discussed how to move this forward. And with what she could do in the House of Commons, she was going to use all that she could do to move it forward. And it has moved forward, and they're working towards setting up a plan to make it work within our country. So this is national, and we want to be able to, since we've been doing a lot of work here with the Red Dress Society and the awareness, and always having the support of Lately, especially with the monument, we wanted to include Lately so that they could showcase their culture of healing, of how our elders, or how our nation, how your nation has that ability to provide that. And and I have, throughout the years that I've lived and on Lakely territory, and I've been married to Clarence for over 10 years, Clarence John. Um, it's I see the potential and the power of the nation to be able to heal our people, the families of missing and murdered Indigenous. Um, I say people because it includes the men and boys, and it includes every walk of life that has been affected by this, by these tragedies. So I just wanted to bring that forward and let you know about what we've been working on um, with the Red Dress Society to be able to, really bring that awareness of what can be done and how Lakely can be a part of it. So thank you. I think that's all. Tammy, I don't know if I missed anything.
No, thank you, Brenda.
Yeah.
So that would be the first component, the announcement piece of the red dress alert, right? The second piece of that is the healing ceremony.
I Clarence.
So out of respect for the elders and Clay Lake Tenay Nation, we are asking that the elders and Clay Lake Tenay take the lead to do a healing ceremony. This would be to send protection prayers to our missing and murdered, but also to bring our community together to help start the healing process, to hold a safe space for those that have been affected. This then would ensure the protocols and procedures and cultures are followed. We are asking Clay Lake Tenay to host this event. We're not sure if the House of Ancestors is available, but that is all set up to accommodate and cater to. The third piece of this is the media. Due to the partnership that the Prince George Red Dress Society has with Deluxe Communication and the media connections that Geraldine brings, there will be national coverage for this. Being that we have the NDP leader doing the announcement, we have Taylor coming along with Leah coming. She will bring those media connections, right? The partnership that the Prince George Red Dress Society has with her is we're working together on a project to bring actually a public announcement awareness that we are going to roll out in September at the Prince George Red Dress campaign. I don't know how to say this, but what an incredible opportunity that this is for not just Clay Lake Tenay, but for the elders, for everybody to come together to hold space, but to show the nation that our murdered and missing count, right? And the healing process of that, to send the protection prayers for those that didn't come home. It's just an amazing opportunity to educate the world and to show that Clay Lake Tenay Nation supports and what they do for the murdered and missing, right? And I don't know, I don't know how else to bring this to you guys. I'm so super excited. I'm so super excited. I had to internally actually process the magnitude of this. Did you guys get the email that I sent that explained who Geraldine is and the connection she has within the political world, and all the media stuff and the stuff that she does, right? So that's it, you guys.
Good brain.
I think one other thing, sorry, is that we're going to be supported by the working group in Prince George, which consists of many organizations such as the Friendship Center, Carissa County, the BC Filu, and yeah, other organization, IRSS, like there's other organizations that are there to support us as well through providing the manpower to do some of the work if need be. But yeah, just so that you know that we have those people as well.
Well, Clayton's always supporting the Red Dress campaign and everything to do with it. I would recommend you email Christina Seymour. She's the Elder Society coordinator, coordinating a healing session or whatever. We will check with the House of Ancestors to see if there's something available on May 5th, and then we'll get back to you, and then we'll support in any way we can. Yeah.
So it's a go? Is it?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for coming in. We apologize. We ran over a little bit of time, but now we're gonna stop for lunch.
Hi, Brenda.
Oh, the rest of the afternoon is gonna be in camera.
Oh.
Okay, so we are
Yeah.
officially done for the day. We will be back here.
Okay.
We're just gonna sign off today. Everybody tomorrow. So Adam, everybody else sees more important.
Have a good day.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so we're gonna stop for lunch now. We'll invite Erica, Eric, in for lunch. Oh yeah, she can come in. She can, got a flight to catch.
Back to guys at 2:35.
Okay, we got 2 minutes, I don't know what else she wants.
At 12:35.
Well, it's Monday.
Make her late. I'm not sick. It's just
The basketball tournament.
It's actually good donuts.
I know, I'll tell you on the office yet.
Oh my. You're not gonna go with me today.
Daniel and everything good? Yeah, Dominic, that's right. Yes. Can you just? Sure.
Yeah.
So what's the problem?
I've been doing good. Yeah. Kids are doing good. Daniel's coming down somewhat more and more as he gets older. He's starting to comprehend more stuff. He always asks about you lately.
Well, I got to see one of it. Okay, sorry. I apologize. We were in camera. We had to let ran over a little bit, so we can give you 10 minutes. Or just tell us what you want.
Amazing. Okay. I put together a presentation, and it was quite short with just kind of those big ideas. But I'll just start with some introductions. So thank you all so much for making the time today and for welcoming us here. It's an honor to kind of bring this forward to you, and it's very exciting. My name is Erica McLean, and I currently work for Foundry Central Office. As well as the school board here in School District 57. I'm originally from the Gitxsan First Nation. I'd like to acknowledge that I'm an uninvited guest on these ancestral lands, and how I wear that responsibility is by continuing to learn about the community and the history of the peoples who live and have lived on these lands for thousands of years. And I would like to share this word that I learned recently. It was actually from the website, and it was called, it said Tanoten, which I thought was amazing because I had always known tannal fuels and had always wondered where the word came from. So my understanding of the word is that it refers or means people a little to the north, if I have that correctly. but just continuing in my journey to try to learn about these traditional lands in which I live. And I will pass it over to my friend Kat.
Hi guys, Kat Mathis. I work for the school district. I'm not here on behalf of the school district today. I'm here on behalf of Erica and Josh and for this thing that we're trying to do. I would also like to acknowledge that I'm an uninvited guest on the Land Quietly today, and I'm so thankful that my parents decided to leave India and come here and be welcomed by the internet. So with gratitude, I'm here. And we have this cool idea about basketball and playing, and those things are cool. And we just wanted to receive a blessing from you folks, I think. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I will. I would start by talking about kind of the current landscape of all native basketball, just if folks are unfamiliar in the room. So currently, and I'm sure lots of folks have heard in different ways about what the all native basketball landscape looks like right now. Currently, there's a big tournament that happens annually in Prince Rupert. And that is so many divisions of men's, women's, masters. But throughout that, there are many smaller tournaments, often in the spring, that take place over the weekends for men's, women's, masters divisions, as well as the massive junior all native tournament, which is actually, and I'll talk about a little bit later too, is actually community hosted. So communities can put in bids to host this tournament annually, and it happens during spring break because it is a U17 tournament. It was just this past spring break, it was hosted in the Nisga'a territory, the Nisga'a North, so it happened in Terrace, and it usually tries to rotate between North and South hosts. But what we would like to bring to you today is this idea of hosting the Clately Classic Tournament. Some of our folks, as Cap mentioned, myself, Cap, Mr. Seymour, and Mel Accident, some of you might be familiar with Mel, along with a couple of others from the community who just kind of thrown the idea out there that we can host and put together something like this, and what this would look like. So we've looked at hosting this weekend-long tournament, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, November of this year. And we would love, we are asking for your partnership in allowing us to call it the Clately Classic Tournament. And with some of those asks, additionally, we are hoping that in collaboration, you may be able to support with a knowledge keeper or an elder being able to come and welcome and to do a welcome prior to the first game of that tournament. And like we just said, November, we're kind of looking at lots of different considerations in making the final decision on the date. CAP has lots of knowledge in terms of what we're competing against for facility use at those times and like referee availability. So those are kind of the big two considerations that are, where we're working through in coming up with that final date. And then next, we would request that if you are comfortable and able, we don't want to put any financial responsibility on the council, but if you are willing and able, we would ask that you would consider supporting athlete recognition, like some type of awards for the winning teams, for those special athlete awards, like most sportsmanlike, most promising MVP, like those kinds of things, in whatever capacity you see fit and are comfortable with. And then the other two asks are kind of fun. One of them being that we would like to make this, we'd like to mark or take this event and kind of mark it as the beginning of building this landscape in this space and in this community, in this region, by hosting some kind of media event the first evening of the tournament. And we would like to invite some of your community leaders, if they would like to participate in some kind of shooting competition with the local municipality, like say for example, mayor and council, like we'll invite community leaders and just, you know, and for fun and maybe have a little playful competition as well.
I can see it. Logan says, you're going down.
Exactly. It's so fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can have some playful competition there. And this is, yes, you know, we're bringing it to you first so you can have more time to practice if you like. And then the last and final ask is that we continue to have like this relationship and build this collaboration in the event that this would be a lot more work, but in the event that we would like to host the put in a bid to host the Junior All Native Tournament. So next year, 2025, it's going to be hosted on Silk's territory, which is Kelowna, and it alternates. So if there is capacity, and again, we do this work with this, you know, this tournament this fall, and we really start to understand like who our key people is, who they are that we can collaborate with, and really put together that plan to put in a bid to host 2026. And it's incredible. It's intimidating for me to think about because it's 1,200 athletes and, you know, that almost as many parents and coaches. It's a massive tournament. There's about 90 teams that participate. It's good basketball, but again, lots of work. So that's kind of looking ahead at kind of those bigger goals of working together, and just something that we hope you'll keep in mind, and we'll revisit that in the future.
Yeah, just to just put it out there, I am for the planning committee, so I'm just going to recuse myself. Yeah, that's it. So I'm just going to recuse myself from any decision. But looking at the whole planning situation to hopefully bring the whole tournament here. And one of the things that we did bring up was, you know, having Crystal versus, you know, Corey Ramsey in a dunking competition. Just as that friendly, you know, to bring people in. But this was actually when we met with Mr. Berlin in the hockey. You know, looking at how hockey is a sport that a lot of students can't participate in. When we're looking at basketball, this is also looking at how do we include our students in sports, because at the tournaments there's actually no Prince George team, but we have so many youth here, they just don't have that opportunity to get there. And this was actually leading up to what we sort of discussed as kind of that road to May, where we get more of the Indigenous students involved in all sports and find ways to get them in there where barriers are broken down. So Kat, we threw you in there as well. You don't know what it is, but all the work's on you.
Don't worry, I'll do it. Yeah.
Does anyone have any objections to playing
Nope.
basketball?
None.
One quick thing around even the financial donation, we're gonna hit the community hard. We think that this is something community needs to support as well. So it's not like coming to Clayton is the only, you know, hopefully we don't have to have any financial contribution from Clayton, because I think that the community will step up and do a lot of that work.
Yes, yeah, the awards ask is very much like a symbolic ask, and we actually there's a you know, through some of our committee conversations and your suggestions, Josh, about how, you know, our next steps are kind of to really develop that communications plan, and then in the coming let's say 8 weeks or so, that's when we'll be reaching out to those communities, those organizations, and making those asks for sponsorship, and then hopefully making an announcement in early June to invite teams to register.
So we have no problem with I have no issue with Clayton helping purchase some of these awards. The only thing I'd like to is Josh supposed to do accountability, so use our logo.
Awesome. Amazing.
So we have a process. Thank you for.
No, God, no.
Yeah.
We have some incredible Indigenous athletes. We just never elevated them.
No.
So the whole community can elevate, you know, that's part of the time, because it's incredibly awesome.
And that's, yes, the intention is to have one main motif for each event that you're exhibiting.
You're awesome. Great. So thanks.
So excited to have our. So excited. Thank you.
So, actually, this is off party.
Okay, so we're on lunch break till 1 o'clock.
Okay.
I can't, this is some company that go.
Yeah, it's Becky.
I gotta leave at like 2:50, if I'm real, so you guys know. So I'll join in, soon. I guess this one Friday. Yeah, see, once we get this in, as well as like the all made of beef, and then you start the roasted egg stuff, we'll get one and we'll just continue and try all the spices, see what they like. And we'll just put that as society, which then we just start finding fundraisers for all the groups rather than